had a good week, and I hope you're going to enjoy the holiday season, whether you're celebrating Christmas or not. Just hoping you're having a good time. Yeah, I um, I will be celebrating with my partner, and I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting, and I'm very grateful to a lot of things this year. I I've got to graduate to finish the dialectual behavioral therapy course, and it's been emotional, but I'm a part of me is it's happy that it's over, but and it's happy that I got to learn a lot, and I'm using things. I'm still learning. I'm still trying my best to live, and it's working all right. I think I'm doing pretty well. It's been a challenging month, the whole December. Even this week, very stressful. I think every year before Christmas, I just forget what day it is. I everything it's a mess. It's not a standard week. Every day feels like a double shift working day kind of day. But I'm excited now to have a couple of days off. Even with the days off, I'm not going to take time off from this. I will keep releasing. This is coming out on Christmas Day, and there is another one coming next Monday in the New Year's Day. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that. What's happened this week? Well, I've recorded the last few episodes of the Borderline Podcast Disorder for this year. I had some incredible guests. I'm really excited to share what we talked about with you folks. I'm hopeful that you're gonna love it as well. I I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we reached 17 countries. Where this podcast has been listened to. We've got around 200 people listening. So thank you, folks. I appreciate you a lot, and I hope for these numbers to get bigger and bigger. Um, yeah, but I used to have for the first few weeks a much better script. However, this week I guess, freestyling a little bit because I'm more comfortable to. I just want to share with you, I guess, what's been happening, and I want to try it this way. So yeah, on Monday and Wednesday, and sorry, Monday and Thursday, I had a couple of interviews. I ended up to do a gig, in Croydon on Thursday evening, and really loved it. Big Smoke comedy, fun comedy night. They did some improv at the end. I am not comfortable with improv. I haven't done it before many times. But it was exciting, and I loved to be there. And I think I didn't enjoy the commute back home. That was very very tiring, and a part of me just, I guess, even regretted being a comedian, and having to put up with getting home late and things like that. But I wouldn't do anything else, because I love comedy, and I did some new bits. I did some stuff about my parents, and about being grateful for what you got, and it worked. It wasn't too bad, I think, if I say so myself. Now, Saturday I got a what's it called, like a care package from my sister. So big up to her. I got loads of like cured meats and Romanian delicatessen for Christmas. I had to travel. I had to spend 60 quid on taxis, not a taxi, but two, to go and pick up the parcel, then get back home. And yeah, that was a bit annoying, but I've drunk enough eggnog lattes this winter season that I got my first free eggnog latte today. So that was, I guess, that was a positive, you know. And yeah, I'm probably gonna try and get a couple more gigs by the end of the year. Even though so far as it stands, I'm off comedy until next year. But yeah, I found out actually some shows that I was meant to have in January were postponed, and it's a bit of a shame. But you know what? It's fine. I actually started writing a lot more. I do about 10, 15 minutes of writing every day, and sometimes it's comedy, or sometimes I'm just trying to work on the stories I already have. But sometimes it's you know, I just started journaling more again, and yeah, I think this week I had to be reminding myself of things I'm grateful for, people that I'm grateful for. I'm probably gonna message a couple of people the next few days, just to thank them for, you know, being a part of me, a part of this journey, and yeah, I'm probably gonna do that. I mean, why not? To be fair, I'm really bad at texting. But who knows? You know, I would like to think that by this time next week, I have messaged some people and I let them know how important they are. And if you got someone that you want to, you know, remind um, them of your, I guess, gratitude, love, etc., do it. You know, you should do it because it's wonderful. I know that when people message me, yeah, it does happen sometimes. I'm not just making this up. But yeah, when people message me, it makes me feel great. Actually, one of my friends from that I made when I moved to London, Chick, she owns this brilliant vegan cake shop in near the Arsenal Stadium, Cookies and Scream. She's messaged me and just to wish me, you know, happy holidays, and I just it just made me feel very happy, you know. I loved it. And you know, I message her back. But again, I will message more people. This is my promise to anyone listening that I will probably try my best to reach out. But you know, I'm not going to take any more of your time. I just want to wish you Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad, Prospero Años e Felicidad. Um, I don't think is any copyright infringement, right? Because I didn't sing it. I just said some words. But today's episode is going to be, it's a good one. You know, I had a lot of fun recording it. I talked with Millie Dollar, um, brilliant comedian, uh, brilliant artist. You know, she's got some very cool stories, and it's a shame that the podcast had to eventually end. I feel like this could have easily been a much longer podcast. So I'd love to continue the conversation with her. I hope you enjoy this as much as I did. And yeah, talk to you soon. Hello, Millie. How's it going?
Hello, yeah, I'm doing good today. Thanks. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. How's your week been?
It has been a little bit of a hectic week for me this week. It was, as well as like obviously doing all the comedy stuff, I do run entertainments for a venue in Liverpool. So with it being Halloween weekend, I've had a very interesting few days of people dressed up in all sorts of weird costumes in the venue everywhere. Like there was a guy in a pinhead mask last night.
A pinhead?
Yeah, from the Hellraiser movies.
Oh, God,
but
okay.
It was a rubber mask, and he was drinking his pint through the mask. And it really unsettled me. I was really unsettled by that.
Did you did you have to did anyone got kicked out for their, I don't know, either having either too offensive, aggressive, or whatever costume?
No, we didn't, but we did have a woman who had to be kicked out because she was dressed as a cat and she's done that thing where she's like, I'm a sexy cat now. And obviously in the venue we have dancers on the tables, but we don't allow customers on the tables. She climbed up onto the middle table and started crawling across it like, I'm a sexy cat. And obviously we had to like go, right, you need to get out. You're not a cat. You're not sexy. Get out.
Oh, okay. Well, no, that sounds amazing. I think I was walking home last night because I went to watch the rugby final with a friend of mine, and there was this woman just like kind of like shouting, but basically he was helped out of a pub, but she had no shoes on.
Right. Ah, yes. That's quite a common occurrence.
And I think, and it was raining. I don't like the weather. I don't know what's it like in Liverpool, but like in London, it's been
a little miserable the past few days. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember just looking back, and I was like, "Where's her shoes?"
We've got a lost and found box in work, and last night we found a woman who she'd lost her shoes. But luckily, in the lost and found box, we had another pair of shoes in her size, and they worked with her outfit. So happy days.
This is amazing. You can get like a cloakroom for.
We're just a huge shoe swap service, really.
Yeah, it's like when they revamp tires.
Yeah.
You just like bring in some shoes and you just take any other shoes that might fit.
Yeah, you never know. You might end up with a better pair of shoes.
I was thinking about it. I walked past a vintage shop yesterday because I was in Notting Hill as well before the game, and they had like Balenciaga trainers and like those like Gucci trainers.
I think I know the shop you mean. Yeah, it's a really, really fancy vintage shop where everything's very expensive.
Yeah, and I remember going like, oh, vintage equals affordable. And then I was like, £500? No, thanks. I was like, yeah, okay,
I know vintage it doesn't mean affordable anymore.
Yeah, which is crazy.
I've been wearing like vintage dresses and collecting things for the past 20 years. And it used to be normal to go and get a brand new dress for £5. And the same dress now, they'd probably want 50.
It's mad because I think when I was born and raised in Romania, and it was kind of like embarrassing because I remember my mom used to go around thrift shops and like just to like have a nosy, and you wouldn't tell people that you went to a vintage shop, like you didn't go because you call it secondhand.
Yeah,
that was the actual. I think it's the German name for like a thrift shop as well. But so we do in Romania. We just call it secondhand shop. So you'd go and you'd like find something, and then I remember I used to buy like football t-shirts. That's the only place where my mom let me buy football t-shirts from because they were like so much cheaper. And people would be like, I remember I had like a random Turkish football club t-shirt.
Oh, so it wasn't even teams you were supporting, you were just like any football.
No, anything. Yeah. I had loads of random ones, and I remember, and again, I was a huge liar as a kid, and
aren't we all as children?
Yeah,
don't we all lie?
Yeah. and then my friends at school would be, how come you have that t-shirt? Well, my dad had some business in Turkey, and he just bought me this jersey. Like I would just come up with like the randomest of things. But I agree. I think vintage, it's very unaffordable. No, it's getting there. It's still okay.
It's like you still have to hunt, and you can still occasionally find that charity shop that are still like existing somewhere in 2002. Sort of ideals.
I don't know. Have you seen? There are now two types of charity shops. There are premium charity shops, and standard charity shops. Yeah,
I think designer charity shops is a weird new thing.
Yeah, like there is one in Angel in London, and you walk past it. So there are actually two on the same street, and one of them is just like your traditional, like a rack full of clothes, £5, whichever item. And then 2 doors down, same charity shop, but everything is like put on like mannequins, and it's
try sort of like 4 times the price, and
Yeah.
it's just, oh god, yeah, it's very, and again, it's
it's a whole
strange.
world in itself, though. It's like I remember being in Notting Hill, and I went into that shop and had a little browse around. But I was doing a photo shoot that day, so I'd been given a beautiful like vintage '60s dress by one of my friends from her boutique, and I was walking around doing a shoot, and while we were like setting up for a shot, this very small, probably like 6 or 7 year old girl stopped, looked me up and down, and just went, "No." And I was like, I've just been critiqued by a child.
God.
It's a whole world in itself, you know.
Yeah, well, that's. But wait, so when you do the photo shoot, then
Yeah.
oh, you give. I mean, yeah, that actually makes sense as I say it, because you have to give the clothes back. Or
yeah, well, she didn't like the shoes with the dress, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I should have gone into my work and got a different pair.
I think, I also noticed that because I see my niece. She's 10 now, and she's getting. I feel like that's the peak where she judges everyone.
Yeah,
No
one will critique you faster than a child.
Yeah, like again, you tame, I guess, your inner, voice at times, and you're like, oh, I wouldn't wear this. But then my niece, she goes like, oh, that's ugly. Like, no filter, no heads up, no.
Yeah.
Can I give you my opinion? It's just no.
Yeah, that's why we all need a niece or nephew that we take clothes shopping with us.
Yeah, and but I mean, look, I don't want to start a fight with my niece, but I don't think her taste is great anyway. Like the things she come up with. But I guess we're from two different worlds. I guess. But yeah, no. So okay, the week has been it's been an interesting one. I actually forgot about Halloween until last night. I was like,
it was only when you saw everyone in costume and went, "What is going on?"
Yeah, I was like, is this South Africa or is it New Zealand fans dressed as Superman? I actually, I think I was in the tube last night, and everyone was. I didn't really enjoy it because everyone was dressed as a sexy something. Like there was this guy who was like a sexy Dracula, and there was this girl who was, I think she was trying to be that it's from a novel, from a German novel, the lady in like the red dress, the one that picks mushrooms from the forest.
Oh, I don't know. Are you sure it wasn't Pearl? The new horror film Pearl.
No, okay, maybe because it was like a red dress with like white bubbles, like. And
okay.
It looked like, again, it was like one of those outfits that I've seen, or like you get like in books when you're a child, but then this girl.
It's hard to go for a niche costume.
But then she had like blood stains on her, and and I was like, oh, like I don't understand. I don't know. I felt like. What happened to like the horrible costumes? Like what happened to the evil doctor? What happened? Where are those people at?
I love it. I say that, but then last year I went as Lisa from The Room. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a Tommy Wiseau film, and it's the worst film ever made. So I had like a little blonde wig on and the red dress that they have a whole thing around in the movie, and I had to have you know it.
I think so. When you said the blonde hair with red dress, it might not be the same movie, but I think I've seen it. Or I've heard of it. Yeah.
I had to carry around the picture frame with a spoon in it, so that people would kind of get the reference a bit more. But it's only if they really know the film that they get the reference. But I turned it into a one-person drinking game, which is really fun for me because I don't drink. But any time I would say a quote from the film, my friends would all have to drink.
And did you get them?
They were pretty gone because there's a lot of quotable moments in that film.
Wow, nice. That sounds good. Yeah.
It's really fun. I recommend becoming a one-person drinking game, especially when you're then just driving home and leaving them to it.
Oh,
it's like, well, good luck.
Yeah, this was fun for me. I'm off now.
Yeah, I'm watching you suffer, and now I'm going to go.
Yeah, good luck getting a taxi in the state. Yeah, wow. Okay, but sorry.
That's okay.
I was going to say, because now it sounds like, you've got all those, you had like a drinking game after you do stand-up comedy for, how long have you done it for?
It's about a year and a half, so it's still relatively new, still quite a new thing for me. And because I'm juggling it with a day job, because I a fully old adult who has to have a full day job. It is tricky to kind of juggle the two. So I squeeze in gigs as and when I can, but it does mean that I'm like maybe working 7 days a week with 1 or 2 comedy shows in the midst of it.
Wow. And then you do, because you do obviously, you like run events, but you do burlesque as well, right?
Yeah,
so...
well, I did burlesque for about 17 years. So that was quite, I know. It was a very long time. I started, when I was about 21, I started doing burlesque. And I don't really get to do that as much these days, which is a shame. I still very much enjoy it. But back when, even 4 or 5 years ago, I was able to like freely travel around Europe doing shows.
That's awesome.
And of course, now with Brexit, you'll see a lot of castings for cabaret shows that state that you have to have a European passport.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's not easy to be based in the UK burlesque dancer these days, because they've lost quite a lot of that in, like, ability to travel and do those shows.
Oh, that's such a shame.
It is. I mean, I'm glad that I got to experience all of that and actually do, travel around the world, because I got to go to some absolutely amazing places. Like, I've danced burlesque all over the world, pretty much.
That's so cool.
Like, there's a few places that are still on my bucket list of, like, I would like to perform there one day. But I think even to just be able to look back and go, wow, I got to, like, go to LA and dance there. I got to go to Kathmandu and dance there. And, I got to do all these amazing things. And then it was my job, so it's always going to have been an amazing experience. But, now I'm kind of settled down now and in my new life, I guess.
But it's still I think it's an amazing life, because I love Liverpool so much.
Yeah, Liverpool, it's a great town.
And I think, every time I gig there, and I seen, to be fair, that at least recently you've been gigging quite a bit, because I've seen like loads of I love your notifications, and you're like, oh, I'm gigging there tonight, I'm gigging here.
Yeah.
It looks really, really good. It's a nice reminder as well of like how again, it's a huge comedy scene. So
it is, and I think like the comedy scene in the northwest of England, and maybe even the northeast, I haven't even got to venture out there yet. I mean, it's a really bustling, but it is a very fun, quite supportive scene.
It is. I found it really. I'm glad. In one hand, I'm so glad I started there.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of shocking coming to London, and it feels more like it's each for, like, everyone is for their own, for them.
Yeah.
Not in a negative way. It's just in a way of like, okay, cool. You kind of have to pick up your stuff and do the best you can. It's harder to get like empathy, I guess. While in Manchester and London, in Liverpool, it's so easy to. I have a sort of support, or again, for the beginning, I love the fact that I was there.
Yeah. It's nice that you can actually go over jokes with people like before you go on stage with them. I'm in a comedy group chat with just like Northwest Liverpool based sort of comedians. I am the only woman in the group chat, but I've seen and heard a lot of things. I feel like I'm getting an education into the mind of men. So
how so?
Just the way the difference between the way that men and women communicate. if that makes
Okay.
sense, you know.
It
But it's
does.
also seeing that they are like really supportive of each other and like will lift each other up, and you know they're there for each other. So
I
I mean,
think.
I don't like that my nickname for a bit was Token Woman. It's been changed now, but
Oh God.
but it is kind of fun to be able to like banter with them. I'm not sure like how now as a 38-year-old woman I feel about being one of the lads.
Well, it's. I mean, I think most of the lads, they don't want to be a part of the lads anymore. So the
Are we
you feel.
moving on from lad culture?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I feel like sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, things are moving so like in a very good direction, and sometimes I'm like, oh no, never mind.
Take it back. I'll take it back.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, I'm like, oh well, not yet, but who knows? One day. However, yeah, I think Liverpool is amazing, and you've done hot water for quite a few times,
Yeah.
and
Quite a bit of a regular there. So,
which is
I'm sure they're
amazing.
sick of the sight of me, but it's all good.
No, yeah, I think it's definitely my favorite. Like it's my favorite club. I think that I've ever done a gig or I actually been in. But yeah, how was it like starting? Like, what made you start doing comedy? Why did you start doing comedy?
Well, when I was growing up, my mom always said, "Oh, you should be a comedian," because she always thought that I was quite like dry and had a quick wit, and I just didn't want to do what my mom told me to. So obviously, it took me a lot longer to actually get to that point than it might have done. But it was something that I've always been into comedy. It's something that I bonded with my family, like my dad mainly over like our favorite comedians, over watching comedy specials, and now going to a lot of comedy shows. So every now and then he'll just send me a link like, "Do you want to go to see the show?" Like,
nice. Who have you gone to watch recently?
Recently, I went. Saw Troy Hawk. Was the most recent show I went to.
Oh, was it?
It was doing his work in progress. It was really good. He's a really nice guy as well. Yeah, my dad really enjoyed it. I think he follows his work a lot.
Nice.
But before that, I think we've gone to see quite a few over the summer. So we went to, I can't remember the name of the event, but it's a big outdoor event in Manchester.
Oh, is it the one at the? Oh God, made by the Comedy Store.
I think so. I'm not sure the name of it.
It's opposite the Piccadilly train station, right?
No, I don't. It's more. See, I'm terrible now because I drive everywhere. So I'm like, I can tell you what car park it's near. But yeah, we went to see a show there. So we did a double bill with Adam Buxton doing his live book show. And then afterwards, I think it was Ed Gamble, Fern Brady, Maisie Adams, and a couple of others. But their names escaped my mind at this point in the night.
It's okay. I think you named some really, really good comedians. And I think this is... Yeah, it's really, I find it so inspiring. I don't watch as much comedy as I think I'm quite the opposite, because since I started doing comedy,
do you avoid comedy then? Or?
No, I don't avoid it. It's just that I find it, I sometimes I can watch something and I'm like, okay, cool, that's it. I'm going to watch it later and I forget watching it. And also, I think the only comedian I went to watch Ali Wood's Work in Progress, but that's like months ago. And then the last time when I actually went to a comedy show was in March or April.
That was so long ago.
I know, but I watched Joe Mandy, which I love. I think April. It was April, and I love Joe Mandy so much, and I think his show was incredible. But that was it, yeah.
I don't know if you find this, but I found now that when I do go and watch comedy, I am already able to see where the punchline is heading. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know what's going to come, so it starts to be a bit like, oh, this is going to say this now. Or,
I think this is my this is one of my issues, because I know I'm not gonna I'm not originally saying this, because I know I heard it somewhere else before, but I feel like doing comedy has ruined comedy for me, because I sometimes see, I don't necessarily get drawn in the moment. I'm just like, oh, that was good.
Yeah.
Or, oh, nice. Or like,
But
you know, like
I feel like it makes you appreciate a very good joke more.
Yeah, which is nice.
If they manage to subvert it for you as a comedian, you're like, okay, yeah, that was good.
This is why I think I do, and also I do notice now what it means when I started doing comedy and people were, oh, that's too predictable. You gotta, because now I go and I watch other people do, say, predictable stuff, and I'm like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's very, very, it's very interesting. I think but I love comedy very much. It's just that I think, especially because in here, most of the gigs I go to, because I don't do those like bringers and stuff that are happening around London, but I do go, and like I usually have to like stay till the end. So because I kind of like see that those comedians are like, because I'm still like watching 2 hours of comedy.
Yeah.
I think when I get home, I'm kind of, no. And also when I have like an evening off, I'm probably just going to want to do something else. I think I've watched Judah Friedlander, which is one of the specials I always go back to. Judah Friedlander, America is the greatest country in the United States.
Yeah.
And I
haven't seen that one.
It's really, I think it's really good. It's such a clever guy, and it's a shame he's not. I think that was the last one he's released, and he was in 2017. Yeah, or I have George Carlin's downloaded on my phone, and I just keep watching George Carlin stuff.
Yeah, he's a name that pops up again and again when I because I'm doing the whole online dating thing now, and obviously being a comedian, they're like, so who's your favorite comedian? And you're like, well, it's not. There's so many. It's not that easy a question. But when I ask them in return, they're always like George Carlin. So that's the name that pops up a lot.
He was incredible, Like the funniest thing is, when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to watch him because he was such a strong atheist comedian that.
Your parents were religious.
Not just that, but even at school, or even in our version of Comedy Central, you wouldn't get that.
Yeah,
we had silly comedians. We had comedians kind of I don't know, just banging their head into a door by accident, or just having very, I don't know, jokes about mother-in-laws and stuff like this. For 3 hours. But yeah, and I remember when I watched. I genuinely remember watching a bit of George Carlin's, and then he got cut, and he was like, "This is the devil talking," because he was someone tried edited him, and I was like, oh, and I remember being like, okay, cool, I'm not gonna watch this guy, and then years later, I think I was 14 or 15, and I hated the world, at that moment. I was like, I hate everyone and everything. Let's watch this guy, and I was like, yes. Yes, he's so right. It's true.
My parents were they were very religious when I grew up. So there was a lot of things that we were kind of shielded from. But then because they were also very creative people, my dad used to be in bands in the 80s and all this kind of thing. My mum trained as a dancer. They would let me watch things that were not really the same as the religious stuff we were constantly being taught at the same time. So I remember my dad used to let us watch Drop Dead Fred quite a lot, with Rick Mayall. It's a brilliant film. Definitely watch it if you haven't.
Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah, but it is very over the top humor. So from that we would grow up watching Red Dwarf and The Young Ones and all these really over the top comedy shows.
Right. Have you watched,
and then go to church on Sunday?
I do. I remember with the Sunday church, my mom used to want to go to church, and I would go with her sometimes. But the deal was that when there was a Formula One race on, I would stay at home and watch it with my dad.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'd have to go 2-3 Sundays in a row. And then it'd be like, okay, Formula One is back. I'm just gonna stay in bed with that and watch it.
Yeah, so you're just constantly waiting for the racing to come back.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know what was it, but like to us, the church was like 4 to 5 hours.
Why?
Yeah,
I mean, like it was probably about the same.
8 in the morning until 12:1 midday.
Yeah.
And it was just I think as a child, I generally, I didn't feel, you'd go there and it's nice for a little bit. I did enjoy it. The thing is, I did enjoy it for a while. I was like,
elements of the church you enjoyed.
yeah, like I did,
like they have nice songs.
Oh yeah, no, the songs were incredible. I genuinely loved it. I was also, I used to play, basically there was like this piece of wood that you start hitting, to create like it was basically to use as a like a, I guess like a background.
Oh right, noise. Okay, so like a bit of percussions.
Yeah, that's it. So I used to do that.
Yeah.
You'd have two wooden hammers, and you just like hit a piece of wood.
Do you not think that would have been really triggering for Jesus?
Like, yeah, here comes
like, here kids, hammer this bit of wood with these hammers for a bit in the celebration of your Lord and Savior.
This is again, I feel my biggest wow moment in my religious ages was when I found out that Jesus actually lived 33 years. Because in my head, I thought that he was born at Christmas, and then he aged 33 years between December.
I was going to say, you didn't think they were like nailing a baby to the cross? Like,
no.
It's just that you're a bad kid, tiny Jesus.
It's just that in my head, I thought, because we celebrate Christmas and Easter every year.
Yeah.
And I was like, so he was born on Christmas. Yeah. And then he magically became older until March. And then in March, he got killed. And then I remember my mom going like, because every year, like because I remember asking like, how come when did he have this so much time to do all these, all the, like the what's the word? The magic thing, not the magic, sorry, the
the miracles.
The miracles. Yeah. I was like, when did he have time for all these miracles? And my mom was like, well, he lived for 33 years. And I was like, shut up.
It also makes you feel bad, though, because then you're like, oh, I'm older than 33 now. What have I achieved? Damn, Jesus is like, he's gone leaps and bounds over my achievements,
Yeah. He's like, well, how much fish
I don't have my own religion. Fuck.
Yeah. How many tables have I built? Actually, the thing is, I'm a carpenter.
I have put together flat pack from IKEA, so that counts.
Okay, yeah, so that's it.
That's essentially, I built a table.
Yeah, that's the thing. You've got some similar achievements.
Yes, we are on par. I am on par with Jesus Christ right now.
I guess also the traveling around the world,
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True. I mean, I think I got to go to places that Jesus didn't, so...
I'm pretty sure he wasn't in LA.
No, I don't think he went to LA. He probably didn't go to Australia or any of those places.
No, I genuinely wish, because they when you see those photos of like Jesus and he's like is just a white guy, and sometimes I wish they did like versions rather than with him being like a different. I wish they did accents, because I'd love to like hear like an Aussie Jesus,
I'm trying to think what's the thing that Jesus would say.
Imagine
all right, lads, come on! I've got these fish. I've got these lives. Let's get this going.
Look, like that's what, imagine. Oh, hello, Jake. Yeah,
this is Jake. Yeah, see, my dog really wants to be involved.
Oh, hello, Jake. Oh, he looks so cute.
He doesn't have much to say, but he will.
That's okay.
He'll just sit on camera for a while.
His presence. Helps out.
He's gifting with his presence right now. You're the dog, Jesus. Don't let it get to your head.
Maybe he, maybe he heard his name too many times, and he was like, "Oh, I gotta."
What's happening?
Someone's calling. Yeah, someone's calling for me.
Your name is Jake, not Jesus.
No, but like generally, think about it. Like again, like a Scouse Jesus, like a Mancunian Jesus. I want like a Peter Kay Jesus. I want like a Bolton guy
Oh God, Jesus with a Bolton accent.
Yeah.
Like even Geordie would be that would be good. I mean,
Yeah.
what is the accent that would suit Jesus the most out of all of the regional accents of
Ooh,
England?
is it England, just England? I reckon it will be Birmingham.
Oh, Brummy
Not because
Jesus.
not because I like it, but because they do have again they have like loads of factories around there, right? And they have like the industrial area is quite big.
Yeah.
Or it could
Is
actually
he into industry though? I thought he was quite anti-industry.
No, because he was a carpenter.
Yeah, true.
Because I was either
but he
thinking
also like flipped tables in the temple, didn't he?
Oh, that's
when they
true.
were like selling.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, Jesus was all about peace and love, and it's like, do you not remember when he flipped a bunch of tables and made a whip?
No, I do. That's the thing where because we still read the Old Testament and then you have the New Testament.
Yeah.
And in the it was crazy because as a kid we learned only the New Testament.
Oh, right. Okay. So when you read the Old Testament, you're like, wait, there's a prequel?
Yeah. But that's because you learn it like, oh yeah, he's loving kindness, and you like, love thy neighbor, and then they go like, oh, by the way, guys, this is another book, which is actually the first one, and I was like,
if there is a God, he is the most successful serial killer.
I generally,
he kept just killing people.
Yeah, and they were like, oh yeah, so he didn't like those two cities, so he just flooded them, and I was like, all right, okay, that makes oh my god.
Remember this one time he flooded the entire earth apparently, and we're like, okay, cool. I love my neighbor.
Did you have do you remember when there was a virus in 2007 or 2008?
There's been many viruses.
I know, but
none of them really quite took like as the virus trending went. None of them got as far as COVID did.
It's COVID.
Well, yeah, because it was always like this bird flu, now the swine flu.
That's it, the bird flu.
The swine,
I think I think it was either the bird flu or it was like a pig flu. I can't no.
Yeah, the swine flu, and then I remember like in the 90s there was what was it called, the crazy cow one.
Yeah, well, not the crazy cow, but I think it was the one I'm thinking about was the bird flu. And basically, when you would go to our hometown, the car had to go on like a carpet, which had this sort of like disinfectant. Yeah, so you can get into the city. Yeah, it was really huge. But then we also had flooding.
Oh no!
Yeah, and I remember kind of like just looking at my mom and be like, "Does Jesus hate us?"
Your parents are turning around like, this is because you masturbate.
Yeah. No, but again, no, at the time I wasn't even that, because I think I was like 7 or 8, and I remember my dad coming back home and like having those the gummy long shoes things, that you wear when you're when it's raining outside. Yeah, and I was like, what's happening? I was like, oh, it's flooding, everywhere. And luckily, we were on the last floor of a apartment building, so it didn't go that high.
So you were on high ground, just like
yeah, but still, I was like, oh, and I remember just like looking through the window, and I was like, yeah, I think it looks a lot like what I read.
God's pissed off.
Yeah. It's such a night. I don't know. I feel like it was very traumatic being raised, because I don't know to what extent your parents went with the religion bits, but sometimes yeah, because sometimes I was like, well, I'm following your train of thought, and it looks like this is not good. And they're like, no, you got to have faith.
Yeah, because it was very much everything will be fixed through prayer kind of a vibe growing up. Because my parents, they don't like to call it missionaries, but I refer to it as missionaries. Because when I was about 2 years old, my brother would have been about 6, we moved to Australia to go and work with a church down there. And then after Australia, we spent like 9 months driving around both islands of New Zealand. Again, to work with different churches, like using art and creativity to, bring people into the church kind of thing. So it was not the easiest childhood. But, I got a really great Australian accent impression out of it. So,
well, that was good. The accent I did, yeah. Yeah, worth it? Yeah, it was worth it. No, so, okay, so when did you come back to England?
I came back when I was about 7.
7, okay. And then you besides of like traveling with the burlesque work, you were just...
Yeah, well, so with I started performing in 2006. It was right at the end of 2006, and I think it was 2008. There was like a burlesque resurgence all of a sudden, and I don't know if it was to do with the recession we were having at that time, that people were like, okay, I can't afford to go on holiday, but I can afford to go and see a show, and it's got tits in it. It was, I think around 2008, I started getting asked to like go and do shows I used to do a lot of shows in Paris, went to Milan for a company called Voodoo Deluxe down there, and I got asked to perform in LA on the Queen Mary. So it was a pretty amazing experience to be able to go and do all of that stuff. So it kind of happened quite quickly for me, but I was still very young when all this happened. Like, I think I was 22, 23 when I went to LA. So when I went there, I don't know how I was so brave to go and just do that kind of stuff now that I look back, because the woman who was meant to pick me up from the airport forgot. So she called her friend, and then he picked me up and let me stay at his. And then the woman who I was going to stay with after because I went there for 10 days. The one I was going to stay with after the Queen Mary stint had finished, because obviously I was staying on the ship as well. She just stopped replying to messages, couldn't get through to her, just no idea. So the guy who'd picked me up from the airport was like, you can stay at mine for a week, but I'm going out of town, like, after a week. And then I met other people who were like, you can stay at mine. Like, I just made a load of friends who like really looked after me, and like they'd drive me everywhere. They'd drive me to all my gigs. And like, I don't know how I was so lucky to just like go and do that. But then I look back now and I'm like, oh my God, if I knew a 20-year-old who was like, I'm going to go to LA, I don't know anyone there, it'll be fine, I'd be like, are you insane?
It sounds like
insane.
It sounds like the plot of like most, TV shows in like actually early 2000s. It's like Big Bang Theory, and where it's like, oh, here's Penny, she just moved here from Nebraska, and it's like,
well, doesn't know anyone.
Yeah, you came from England, but besides of that, no, but I agree. I think it kind of like transcends a lot, even as a comedian. Because I know, do you gig outside of Liverpool and Manchester like often, or do you usually do?
No, really. It's stayed quite northwest with it, really. I was just thinking it's mainly because I'm still trying to build on what I've got, and I think like one of the great things about Liverpool, it's one of those towns where if you're successfully doing comedy in Liverpool, you've got a good set. Because it can be like, it's an audience that will let you know what it thinks in the best possible way, really. Because if you've just got nothing but easy audiences who laugh at every single tiny little thing, then you're never going to progress. Whereas in Liverpool, you'll have people who will like even give you notes afterwards, whether you want them or not.
Oh no, I do. I love that so much when I used to go and I would get feedback, or like actually I remember sometimes I would do a joke and it wouldn't land well, and I would be like, oh God.
Yeah. But there's some nights where a joke will land really well, and then you do it the next night and it doesn't land at all, and it's just it like comedy is subjective. What people find amusing is subjective. So
Yeah, true. I think my biggest thing is I don't do the joke now anymore anyway. But
Yeah.
I was not the joke, but like the set, because I did realize that my comedy really in the last year it really depended. It was really dependent to how I felt. Because when I felt really good, actually, I wasn't writing much. But when I felt bad and miserable, I was writing a lot. But it was really either dark or it was just like heavy humor, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember I did this gig in Crystal Palace, and I really enjoyed it. And they were enjoying it as well, like the crowd. But then I can't even remember what was I talking about, and I was like, yeah, a bit like Jesus, and then you could see like these, like there was a group of like three like middle-aged men, and you could just see their face. They just stopped smiling straight away, and I was like, oh God, that's it. And it just threw me off, and that was it, But no, the only reason I ask is I think because you did mention that you drive around places now, is that you wouldn't notice it as much. But I do feel like, sometimes I'd go to like a town to do a gig.
Yeah.
And literally, like, the only thing that I know is that I've got an email or like I've got an Instagram message saying, you got a 5-minute spot here, which is like usually unpaid anyway. And I traveled 2 hours there, and I got a postcode, but nothing else. And I'm just, and I'm
like, where am I on the bill? Who else is on? Anything?
As well as, is this legit? Because I have no idea if this is actually like a thing. And I agree with you. I think if I know that I agree. I see your point where, I don't know, if you were to not think that, okay, I'm going to LA for the work, and then, because when you have that drive, I guess, you don't really see the things. Because now when I look back, like sometimes when I actually get home from gigs, I'm like, where the fuck am I? The next train is in 35 minutes, and you just wait in like a dark train station, and I'm like, oh, this is sad.
I think for the first 14 years of doing burlesque, I didn't drive. I only learned how to drive. I passed my test about 4 months before COVID came in. So I was like, I'm driving now, and I'm doing motorways, and I'm like starting to feel comfortable with this. And it was like lockdown. Shit. So I'd do the whole like getting the train everywhere, traveling to places where you're like, I don't know who I'm meeting. Yeah. And like sometimes you'd fly to a whole new country and be like, I hope someone's picking me up from the airport. Like, you just don't know what's happening.
But you were saying about the lady that didn't like forgot to pick you up, or like,
that was fucking scary. I just sat in LAX and just cried, and this couple that had been sat next to me on the flight were like, are you okay? Like, do you need somewhere to stay? Are you all right? And I was like, someone's coming to get me, but thank you so much. And then, but then there's like, on the other hand, there's I went to Zagreb and did a gig in Croatia years and years ago. And the guy who they'd sent to pick me up from the airport, I got there and he was like, you're from Liverpool, aren't you? I was like, yeah. And he's like, do you know Howard and Carl? And I was like, yeah. So it was like I'd flown to a whole new country, and he was like, I know your friends. And it was like, okay, wow, all right, small world,
Wait, hang on a minute, wait, so who's Harold and Carl?
So Howard and Carl, Carl is, his stage name is Carl Comeover, and he used to be in a band called Dr. Comeover, who were like this really sort of grimy 60s surf garage kind of band.
Right, okay.
And they used to run a show called the Go-Go Cage here in Liverpool that I performed at a lot when I started performing burlesque. And Howard used to like run the projections, and he's quite artsy guy that you always see around town. And they're the kind of people that they know everyone, but I didn't expect them to know people in like entire ass different countries.
No, that sorry, because to me for a second it was like one of those things where, I tell people, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm from Romania, and they're like, oh, I have loads of friends from Romania. Do you know my friend Alex? And I'm like,
and you're just like, what?
Yeah, I know all 1.4 million people called Alex.
Yeah.
So that's
it's
why
that
I
whole
thought it was
trope
more,
with like Australia as well, isn't it? Like, oh, my cousin lives in Australia. Do you know them? And it's like,
Yeah,
a lot of people live there.
it's a city with two people, and I was one of them. So of course I know the other.
Yeah. I
Oh
know this is
God.
a giant country, but I know all 5 people who live on it.
Hang on a minute. So it was Croatian.
No, he was from England, and he'd moved over to live in Croatia.
Oh,
So all of the people who were running the event were from the UK,
right.
but they ran this. It was like a prohibition style party, and it was a really, because I was literally there for 12 hours, and that included getting from the airport, doing a show, sleeping over in the hotel, and then going back to the airport again. So it was a really, really short trip.
Wow.
But the entire trip was just mad. Like, it was a really weird trip that was like really exciting. It was a Valentine's Day show in Croatia, so there was snow everywhere, and it looked really beautiful. And they had like drivers from a company, like, so after that guy had picked me up from the airport, he dropped me at the hotel, so like, get ready, and then they'd sent a driver to pick me up, and I got talking to him while he was driving me over to the venue, and he was like, I actually own the company. I own the driving company. My driver said he was sick, so I just thought I'd do it myself. And it turned out he used to be a professional footballer for the Kaiser Chiefs.
In South Africa.
What's that?
In South Africa, Kaiser Chiefs.
Yeah. And he just moved to Croatia, bought a car service, ended up driving me himself. And he was just dead nice. And then I was at the gig, and there was like all these Croatian celebrities who I didn't know who they were. And then I met this 3 guys from England. So I was like, cool, I'll chat to them. Like, you know, one of them had spoken to me about a show that he went to see in Leeds. And I was like, oh, I do that show quite a lot, actually. So we got chatting for a while, and then there's someone walked behind me and was like, that's Depeche Mode, and just carried on. And I was just like, what? They were there to do a show the next day, so they had come to this event in Croatia. So it was just weirdness after weirdness. And then they took us back to the hotel, and it was this really beautiful, like, little boutique hotel that was owned by this lovely couple. And the next morning, when we got up, they like popped a bottle of champagne for us, and were like giving us champagne breakfast. And then one of the owners like took a shine to me, and he was like, "Come with me." So he gets me, he takes me around the corner to this like cafe, and starts talking to this woman for a bit, and then she's like, "Oh, okay." She just turns to me and just starts singing like opera perfectly in my face, like in this little cafe. And I was just like, I don't know what to do. This is really weird. Like the whole 12 hours that I was there was just really, really surreal. It was just like a fever dream of a trip. And then they got us back to the airport. They flew one of the organisers back with me to London. She went to a cash point, got the cash out from my fee, just gave it to me. I was like, thank you, bye. And that was it. I was just like...
Wait, so that was
in the middle of London with just like a big wad of cash, and being like, okay, that happened. That all happened. That was insane. So
nice. God. Yeah. Okay. So wait. So because you went to Croatia, and then you got paid when you get back to London.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. That's. I feel. Yeah. That's. I know. I think any sort of arts is just incredible. Yeah. Sometimes I think the only thing that it's unreal.
Yeah.
It's a good story.
You don't get those kind of experiences, like, unless you're doing all this creative mad stuff that we all do.
Yeah.
But then you've got that worry of when you're like, oh, this one time, you feel like people must be like, oh, she's full of shit. You know what I mean?
I do.
Like, you worry that people think you're lying because you're like, I know it sounds insane, but that really is, all these things did happen.
I think I do. It did happen a couple of months ago. Actually, I think at the beginning of the summer, I was going to Battersea to do like a private gig for like this someone's birthday, and I was just going through my set in my head, and I was like, because I'm still like, I haven't done many. I mean, I've done like a handful of private gigs, so you kind of like want to. It's hard to prepare because you want to get some material that's like relatable. So I was just going through bits in my head. I was like, oh, what would like a 21-year-old would like to hear? And these like ladies, we were in a bus, and these ladies they start talking about owning a shiwi. No, as in like obviously they no as in like they all shared the shiwi, but every one of them.
Okay, there wasn't a communal shiwi.
Yeah, but they had like there were four ladies. Three of them had a shiwi, one didn't understand what it is. So then obviously, and they were loud. They were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you don't know what a shiwi is." And this lady, she just pulled her phone out, and I imagine she Googled or she searched for a shiwi, and she started showing the other. And again, I was sitting opposite from them, so it was hard for me to not.
But you're probably invested in the conversation by that point. Like, what is your reaction going to be?
And she was like, "Oh yeah, of course, like the one of those that you take at festivals." And I was like, and you see, the thing is sometimes, because I remember I got to the gig and I met one of my comedy. I can't remember who he was, but I know that we met before and we gigged quite a bit. And he was like, "How's it going?" And I was like, This happened to me just now. I really don't know what to do with it." And he looked at me as in like, "Are you trying new material on me?" And I was like, "No, that
is a problem when you have comedy friends and you meet up for the first time in a while. You do sort of end up slipping into a bit of like, this could be a joke, this could be material, but then
that was it. Yeah, I was like, how I would never expect walking into a conversation with. So yeah, and again, they were very proud about their. By the way, this episode is sponsored by.
I look forward to receiving my shiwi in the post.
Yeah,
I haven't got one. I haven't used one, but in during COVID, when everything was like locked down and everyone was allowed to have walks and nothing else, I really embraced the outdoor week. I really had to embrace it because I was just like, you know what? If I'm going to be in the park walking for an hour and that's my only allocated time to be outside, I'm probably going to need to pee at some point.
I think I remember my mom once. We were at like a barbecue, and I just remember her falling backwards, and I remember just going, "Oh, help!" And again, I was like I was fairly young, so I didn't see anything. But that's the only thing that I remember. So that's why, like, now I'm still at times, because I still don't understand the dynamics or like the biology of like a female body, and I just remember
how we pee, right?
I just remember going like past those bushes and just see my mom like a. Is it like a turtle? Just like on her back? And I was like, I don't really understand what's happening here, but I'm not going to ask any questions. I'm just going to help my mom get up and,
I love that at a barbecue though, just being like, just get slippers and bushes over there.
Yeah, he was
no one will know.
I think he was a normal, he was like a public, not public, but like a forest thing, and you just drive in the forest, you park the car somewhere, we clean after, of course, we don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it. And what's happening next? Because obviously you said that you've got you had obviously a lot on your plate with full day job and like full time job, and then doing comedy. And is there what's the schedule like for the new year for you?
So the schedule for the new year, I'm not 100% sure yet. I might go to New Zealand for a week or so and do a bunch of shows down there. So I've got a comedy friend down in New Zealand. I've got a family down there as well. So going to see if it's possible to get over there and just do a bunch of gigs. Relaxing very, very, very far away from my day job.
Nice. No, that sounds amazing. Yeah. And so you've got family in New Zealand?
Yeah. So my dad's uncle moved out there So we've got like second cousins. Yeah, so there's some I haven't seen them in like 30 years. So, you know, it would be good to like go out and see them, and meet their children. Probably not invite them to see any of my shows though, because like although I don't really know them I don't think I know them well enough. Because although it's that weird thing of when you're on stage, you feel fine telling a room full of 500 strangers like the most intimate things. Especially like in my comedy, it can get quite, you know, out there, and there's a lot of details that, you know, I probably wouldn't feel comfortable like sharing with my parents or my family one-on-one. So I did used to, like, in my very first set, I talked about having OCD. So, but the form I had was like intrusive thoughts. So you know, it's like if you're talking to someone and there's a voice in your head that's like, what if you just punched them? What would happen? You know, that kind of like...
I do get...
Yeah, I think everyone gets like some element of it, but when you've got it with OCD, it's like that thought starts to become all-consuming, and it's like it starts to shout louder and louder in your head, like, just do it, just do it, just do it. Yeah, so I used to have a whole set about that. But I would have a joke in the set about that. It really irritated me when people told me they had OCD because they had to always wash their hands, or they like things neat and tidy. You know, that kind of pseudo OCD that a lot of people claim to have. And I'd be like, oh, right, okay, well, have you ever had the completely unwanted, unshakable thought of sucking your dad's dick? And my dad came to see so I did that joke at Hot Water a few times, and then my dad came to see me do stand-up at Hot Water, and obviously all the staff and everyone that I knew there were like, are you doing that joke? Are you going to do that joke? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do the joke. That's it. Like, it's,
yeah, nothing's going to change.
Fine. Like, I've pre-warned him that this is it going in my set. So I did that joke, and then I went, and he's here, by the way, and pointed to my dad. And everyone was like, ha ha ha, that's just another joke, because it's an older gentleman in the audience. Until they saw me talking to him in the break and started asking me, like, is this really your dad? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's my dad. Like, I think it's fine. My dad's fine with the stuff I say on stage. Like, he's seen it, and he's like, gets it. I mean, he's probably at points of like, oh, I didn't want to know that about my daughter, kind of thing. But I would never say any of that in front of my mum. Like, I would never let her watch me do comedy. And she's quite annoyed about that. She's quite upset that I won't let her watch it. But I know that she wouldn't quite get the intention.
I feel like it makes sense because, you know, to me, I think, and also after you started doing comedy, it's in my head, I already know, like, sometimes when someone says it, like, sometimes I hear some stuff that could potentially be traumatic, and I'm like, it's hard to tell, is this a joke or is this real? Because you know that there is, like, again, there is again, there is a fine line. There is something that I make up, and it's absolutely is not real at all. It's just like, again, it was just like the beginning of a thought that I had, which then I let it, you know. And but I think I don't know, I was actually going to ask you now. I post videos sometimes, and the thing is, my mom and dad, unfortunately, I lost them a while ago, so they've never had a chance to see me do comedy. But I do get like aunties or like my sister liking and they don't speak English. And so
they're just supporting, I guess.
Yeah, and I think
I like that you're doing this, but I don't know what this is.
I do find it, because like I had a joke, and actually one of my bits, which I haven't done for a while, but it was about, you know, I grew up religious. I'm not religious anymore. However, like, there is in the back of my head, there is like some sort of fear that afterlife is really a thing. Yeah. And it's not necessarily that I'm scared of afterlife. I'm just scared that what if I die, I go to hell, and then I have to hang out with my family again.
Yeah, that is a big worry.
And
yeah.
my auntie commented with like a basically like someone like holding like a massive heart, you know, like one of the like cute little, you know,
Oh no.
and like a part of me was, is she being sarcastic or is she
Is this a passive aggressive heart being held by some hands?
like sometimes, because I posted one the other day as well where I posted one about like, oh, living with like borderline personality disorder, and it was about me going like, oh, I cry inside a lot, and then
Yeah.
she replied with a sticker which was like someone just like showing the thumbs, but the thumb just going like getting like massive.
Okay.
And,
so she's like, I like your BPD.
I was like,
congrats on the BPD.
like, yeah, like, I don't know if I necessarily, because yeah, like it's very. I feel like Mark Maron, where he goes like, you know, I love my mom, but I'm not in love with her, you know, and that's what I feel like sometimes when like my sister messages me, or like when someone in the family sees my videos. So I'm not necessarily. Yeah, I'm not going. I'm not to that extent, but I do have quite a few bits about like my mom lying and stuff. And I again, like in one hand, I'm glad they don't speak English. I think
you've got like a bit of a savior there, almost.
Yeah. Like, what does this mean?
You've no idea what's happening in this set. Because I know when my mum asks me how my stand up is going, she asks quite frequently, like, "Do you talk about me? Are you really horrible about me on stage? What do you say about me on stage?" And like, until recently, I didn't actually mention my mum on stage. Really, like she wasn't a subject that I referred to. Although she contains multitudes. So I did, however, I have added a new joke recently because I started antidepressants about 3 or 4 weeks ago, so the second time being on them.
Gang.
Yeah, medication gang. And I do have a joke about like, I feel so much better being on them now. The only issue I've got is the guilt, because my mum worked really hard on that. And it's, you know, I worry that she'll see that and she will take it very personally, rather than seeing it as it's a joke. It's a relatable joke that people will get. And I like that with that joke, people take a moment where they're like, huh? And then it clicks like a second later. So you don't get an immediate laugh with that one. You just get like a realization first.
Again, like mom didn't see me do stand up, but I do remember the first time when I was in basically the first time I've ever called for like help.
Yeah,
I called like a support line, and then I ended up actually speaking with like a kind of, I don't know, it was like a guidance now sort of thing, where it's like just a very just like some sort of like therapist, very quickly to, you know, talk about stuff. And then the I can't even remember the person on the phone. They were like, you know, maybe you should you should tell someone that you trust. Because I didn't come out about like my depression by then. I didn't come out about like my thoughts, my ideation, etc. And then I thought, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna call my mom. For that's gonna be really that's gonna be healthy. And I called my mom, and again, bless her. I told her, I was like, Mom, I think, you know, apparently I might have depression. And my mom just started crying, and she was like, and she was like, oh no, what have I done?
Oh shit.
And I was like, nothing. I mean, I don't think it's
within my brain.
Yeah, I was like, no, you've done
wired
nothing.
a bit wrong.
and I remember at some point I was like, looking back at it, I was like, that was such a sweet thing, you know. And like I love her so much, and I care for her, and I miss her very much. But at one point I was like, okay, let's go back to me. Because we just we went on this conversation.
You're like, anyway, continuing with what I was trying to say.
Because like you see, a part of my, I was in one hand like, oh my god, I need to like let my mom know that I'm fine, that it's nothing. Yeah. But then I was also like, Mom, I called you to tell you that I have depression. Let's have a chat about me. Yeah. And she's like, no, why? And yeah, I think with I can't. You see, this thing. A part of me wishes I could see my parents do, but I don't think I would have the courage, because I have a love-hate relationship with my dad, and sometimes I call out my mom for things, on my set. So I don't know if they were around, if I would have the courage to do it, because I'm like, I can't really upset them. Yeah, because I'm, like I call my mom a liar, and she can't fight now. She can't. Like the same with my dad. I'm like, oh yeah, my dad did this, and I don't like him for that. But he's not like he's going to reply. So I feel like I have like it's a pathological fear of fighting, that I'm just going to wait for people to die before I start writing material about them. Yeah.
So you're like at the funeral with your notes.
Just
right.
Okay.
What else?
So this is what else happened.
Did I do? Yeah, this is also good.
I'm gonna be like the worst
material in there.
The worst version of like Eminem. I'm just gonna, instead of dissing people while they are like coming up artists, I'm just gonna diss dead people.
Yeah,
it's gonna be like, this is
post-mortem Eminem.
Yeah, well, that's probably my thing, my jam from now on. But it's been so nice chatting with you, and good luck with the comedy.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with the podcast.
You'll be able to see me around in places. I do keep meaning to get down to London again sometime, so I will give you a shout next time.
No, definitely good luck. I think if you're bringing the podcast back as well, good luck with that too.
Yeah, fingers crossed I can get back on it, because I've got an amazing 2-part story that's already written, which is it's like the story is so epic it has to be a 2-parter. And I think it could be a movie. It's such an amazing story. So I'm going to work on bringing it back.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So it's Cabaret Darlings, history of various different cabaret and burlesque performers who's like, I basically wanted to tell stories that might get lost to time otherwise.
That sounds good.
Yeah. So there is one episode, like if anyone's like, where should I start? There are already some episodes out. There is one about Yada, who is a burlesque dancer who may or may not have been involved with the plot to assassinate JFK. Yeah. So again, that's an amazing story. So yeah, your face, you're like, what?
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah. I did not expect.
Exactly.
I did not think I'm gonna think about JFK today. I thought it was just the Roman Empire that I'm obsessed with.
Oh yeah, you and every other guy.
No,
I did actually have a guy tell me recently, like out of the blue, I do think about the Roman Empire a lot, and I was like, what? Because I haven't seen this trend. I was I have no idea what you're on about. I've seen it now, but I was just like, what?
Yeah, I do. I think I'm more of a Greek mythology kind of guy. Right, okay. But no Roman Empire, which is funny though, because I am a descendant of because I'm Romanian, so it's actually we were anyway. No, it was incredible. When you're back, when you're around London, let us know. And I'd love to have you in the studio when we're all set as well for another. Because I feel like again we can.
I feel like we've got a lot more that we can talk about.
Yeah, exactly. I really want to. I have as I'm about to end this. I have loads of questions that are just like coming in my head. I'm like, we got to address this.
Am I going to be getting loads of messages now? Like, can I ask?
Bring Millie back.
I have way more weird stories to share.
Thank you for listening. And Merry Christmas if you're celebrating. Otherwise, have a good week. Stay skillful, and yeah, just look after yourselves. All the best. Bye.